Hi everyone. Okay, I wanted to pop on and just talk about my spiritual toolkit for light workers. What is it? Why am I doing it? And what is the benefits of learning from this course? What will you learn? So, I think first of all, I should go into the why I'm creating this course and why I think there is a need for this course. It's basically a toolkit of a variety of tools and things that I use, and a lot of things that I've learned over the last, maybe 30 years, and some of them, particularly quite a lot of the things that I've probably learned the last 12 years, which I found really, really effective and powerful in my own work. Um, and one of the things that and this is part of the why, is I'm someone that started off as a healer, like most people. I started, at the kind of basic level, Reiki and things like that, did meditation, stress management, holistic therapies. But because of my own story and so many complex issues, I always ask myself a lot of questions like, why does certain types of modalities seem to achieve things more quickly and work more on these things? Why do lots of therapists and healers have clients coming to them for months or years and they don't really seem to get out the problem? These were the kind of questions I asked. Why do certain diseases, maybe you can kind of almost plateau it? Or, but how do some of the healers or therapists or type of work completely eliminate diseases that are not supposed to, you know, what people would call miracle cures? Now, I had some what I would call mini miracles along the way. Now, people might not class them as mini miracles because they still see me having, had still lots of challenges. But if they actually look at some of the challenges I previously had and some of the issues, there was aspects of miracles within that, right? It was just, there was so much going on. But one of the things that really, really saddened me, even disheartened me in many ways, and was over the last 4 or 5 years, seeing how much humanity were disconnected from their sovereignty, their discernment, their integrity, and their ability to be open to another way of looking at the world and what was going on, particularly people that are supposed to be healers and or even intuitives or psychics and mediums, where you expect them to have a better awareness of energy and understanding and intuition and feeling things. And of course we do all have our own wounds and weaknesses and triggers that can, and blind spots. We all do that. But there's a difference between having a blind spot in one situation in our life, or one event, one area. But when there is massive psyops, when there is massive spiritual war and psychic war and energetic war, and people are not seeing that, are not feeling it, and not understanding that, it demonstrates how disconnected, at some level, most of humanity actually are from their soul, their sovereignty, and their sixth senses, right? And I'm lucky. I, as a something in my eye, I, as a child, didn't, like most children who are empathic and sensitive, didn't realize that I just was more in tune with the world. I just couldn't understand why other people didn't behave certain ways, but it was because they didn't see the things that I saw. And it took me many years to kind of understand that it was just that other people didn't see the world the way that I saw it. Now, of course, that came in with extreme challenges, but it also came in with great gifts. Now, part of my healing process has been having to harness the challenges of the what they call unruly empath, an empath whose empathy and sensitivity was so out of hand that it was causing like a wee bit of self-destruct in some ways. And for some reason, after I had after I'd been in a coma and had sepsis, my gifts and my level of sensitivity went through the roof. And there could be lots of reasons for that. Maybe the trauma of that, because I had some injury here. It's lots of things that I had to do to save my life. And it could be part of that. There was also some psychic experiences that I had while I was in the coma, which some of it I've mentioned before to some people, some of it I've not really talked about. But one of the things that that experience taught me, it was like God was forcing me to face my spiritual gifts, was forcing me to face other aspects in the world that often we want to poo-hoo. I had, when I was younger, had premonitions and all sorts of experiences that really were really hard for me because, I remember one experience, not just a premonition, I remember an experience where someone I knew, I didn't know them that well, had dated someone and we had fell out, and then I wasn't in touch with this person at this point. But all of a sudden, this day, I was seeing events that this person was experiencing. They'd been in a car accident, they were in the hospital, and I was seeing the things I thought I was going insane. And it was like I was actually seeing what they would experience, aspects of their life, and it was really scary for me. And at the time, I had some other things going on, and it just was so much. And like many people who have spiritual awakenings that come in that way, not just at a soul level, a psychic, what maybe call psychic awakenings, it can be very challenging and that can be traumatic itself. Like one of the things that Caroline Tobin has mentioned about her own spiritual experiences in one of the podcasts and over the Wendy Taylor podcasts over at my new YouTube channel. It doesn't, sometimes these things can be profound experiences, but they can turn your life upside down. But what that did for me, I had lots of experiences after that, but even some of my healer friends, and I've got friends that have really, really worked with some of the top healers. That they're not people that just went and done basic healing modalities. They've worked with lots of teachers around the world, and they're quite psychically and spiritually aware. But even some of the challenges that I had, they couldn't understand. They didn't really know what to say, and there was other people I think didn't believe some of the experiences that I was having. But what that forced me, sometimes it's like everything in life, when you have a certain level of a problem and suffering, you don't want experience anymore, you want answers, you go looking for the answers. And it was almost, I was forced, it was crippling me in certain ways, and it was challenging my belief system on so many levels. It was forcing me to face things. So what I did was I went looking, and I realized at that point I was not going to go I wanted to go to the best of the best if I possibly could afford, because I'd spent most of my life going through, working with people, and they still might have been classed in maybe Scotland or the UK as the best in their field or quite high up. But I still felt that there was more in it. A lot of the answers I was getting from people and what they were saying, it was like they were telling me out of not experience that they had. It was like something out of a book or a course or an ideology rather than an experience. And I needed to get real support of people that really understood these issues and challenges, not just made it up from a book or had dabbled in it, but were actually had been doing decades in it. And that's where I ended up going down and working with lots of different healers and teachers and getting bits of information. And that also, I done a lot of work, soul working myself, which I think when you do a lot of soul work and clear some things, there was a lot of things I had to clear, like lots of people. And some of it was, I always felt as if my connection, even though I was really intuitive, connection fell off. And, people, sometimes even friends that are healers would go, you can't have your connection can't be slightly off. That doesn't technically correct, but that's what it felt. And then I found out why that was. So what I have done, that's the why. Because one of the things that I know my journey, and I know how much I had to learn and how much money, and I mean money and time and energy I've worked with people, the money that I wasted in many people that said they really knew and they didn't really know, they were only scratching the surface, and then working with people that really did know. And one of the things that I think is really, really important is I'm very much about empowerment and personal sovereignty. People don't know themselves. Many healers and therapists don't know themselves. They're scratching the surface. They've not really done deep work. They think they've done deep work, but they haven't really. Deep work comes from all different angles. It just doesn't come from one modality and one approach. Of course, there's certain approaches can be sometimes more helpful than others. But, and it's one of the reasons why when anyone says that everybody should do this one approach or this is what everybody must do, I don't agree. I think that often comes from people that are very naive, are often conditioned in one way to look at things, are just doing it to sell something, right? I believe in a multifaceted approach. But there is some tools that can be helpful to help us be open. So in this 10-week program, it's a spiritual development course that is about helping you get deeper into stillness, deeper into your soul, get into your soul connection, building soul power, getting more intuitively, psychically, and spiritually aware, right? And some quantum tools that can really support you get into the 0 point, get into zero, stillness, can help you look at manifesting and changing the quantum field and looking at things, right? There's a lot of different ways that people do things. I'm someone that studied, for example, visualization's been a big thing. I studied for 30 years and I found some things in my life that I helped. There was other things that I've visualized every day and I've been doing for the last 30 years, and some things didn't shift. And I've always been fascinated. Why was that the case? And the more and more that I've studied this and looked at it, there is so many different reasons, and there can be different things going on. But there can be also psychic and spiritualness. One of the things, one of the master healers that I went to, one of the things, he didn't know me for Adam in the first class that I was in. You could nominate yourself to be kind of tested for certain things. And he said to me, oh my goodness, you have been cursed from birth. You've had all sorts of things. You've had all sorts of things. And it was interesting, many times through my life, my family would joke, my friends would joke, you would think you've been cursed, right? So there's lots of things sometimes we don't understand what is going on. There's also a lot of people that are light workers, their soul comes in, breaks management. Why does someone come in disabled? Why did I come in, as a child with certain what people would call as disfigurement or certain things that were not your average child? There's lots of reasons, but there's lots of things sometimes also at a psychic and spiritual level that are there to try and sabotage the healer, the empath, the light work doing the role. And the more that you can access your soul gifts, your soul essence, your soul power, and become energetic aware, you can you have far more discernment. And this is what mostly this course is about. I found, I'm someone that was, as a client of many different types of healing modalities and spiritual healing and energetic healing modalities, there's a lot of energetic difference. And a lot of people just think, well, they'll come from one source, so they're all the same. They're not all the same. They all have worked differently. And some of them work in different dimensions. That's the reality. And that is why many healers start off with certain modalities, and why they move and start going in and up-leveling their modalities, going and looking for other modalities, because they have clients or they see things that certain types of healing modalities don't seem to shift, or their clients coming for months, years, when they know that that's not right. So there is so much more out there, right? And this is about helping you open you up, but helping you more than, the most important thing in this course is about helping you get deeper with your soul connection, getting more energetically and psychically and spiritually aware in your energy fields, your discernment, to build those tools up. Okay, so I'd love you to join me. It starts on Monday, the 22nd of July, and it'll run from 7 to 9 p.m, and that's British summertime. There is an early bird offer on at the moment that ends of the 5th of July, and I'll put the details below. This course for what I'm going to give and some of the tools, because some of the tools and techniques I've learned on this, I've spent thousands of pounds learning. Now, I'm not saying I'm not ripping empties, I'm taking bits of techniques and combining it in a certain way that I think's more powerful, more suitable for what I'm doing. But I've spent many, many years, as I said, going down lots of avenues, working with many teachers and trying to master certain things. And also a lot of things that I don't really share much about, even though I've studied myself. I'm not someone that just because I study something just goes out and shares it with my students. I tend to work on myself, and I'm very much about integrity and doing things myself, and doing things that feels right and when it's the right time, and just going out and just selling everything that I learn. It's not about that. And obviously other people you work with sometimes have their own signature system, so you can't just take their tools and techniques and just use it the way they do it, because that's, there's a lot of reasons why you can't do that. So this is a combined approach, and it's all, to me, most important, it's about soul connection and more building more spiritual discernment, integrity. It'll help you your integrity, but also you're going to learn some fabulous, powerful tools that can really help with quantum manifesting and healing. And the reality is, some of these tools are actually more effective in a certain type of group, with also people that, for example, because I've worked with some of these tools to a certain level, they work better with a certain dynamic. And this is part of the dynamic I'm going to be creating in the group. So there's more to this group than what might appear on the surface. So I would love for you to join us. As I said, the early bird offer ends on the 5th of July. There is limited places for this class. It is a type of class that I don't want too big a group. I want it to be small enough that people can get more, we can get interaction and you can get feedback and more support. So as I said, there is limited places available. Make sure that you check out the information. If there's any questions you would like, please don't hesitate to contact me if you would like more information. Okay, bye-bye for now. Have a wonderful day.